Okay. Very good. So now we can go. Hope everything is fine. Everything is fine. And live on 2, 8. Okay, fine.
Good morning. Happy Easter. Om Sato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. The subject of my talk today as Easter service is Children of Immortality. As you are aware, or I don't have to say that aware, we definitely experiencing always every day and also counting number of deaths. So naturally, we are very much into the thought of death. But Easter is a day when we think of immortality. That means because of Christ's life, we get a hope of immortality. So let us see how actually it has come to us. That means how we think, and in the life of Christ, how it happened. Easter is observed on the first as an occasion or as the date. Easter is observed on the first Sunday after the first full moon, after the vernal equinox. At this time, the sun crosses the equator from south to north and brings new life to nature in the northern hemisphere. So it is a planetary phenomena, if you call it, that this has come down to us as a tradition also. On this holy Easter morning, let us think not of death, but of immortality. This is very important, as I said, on the occasion, circumstances through which actually we are passing. Spiritual, think not of death, but of immortality, spiritual enlightenment or spiritual rebirth. It is a possibility which can be attained by all of us, irrespective of our religions, races, and countries. So immortality is not really reserved for a particular individual. It is not reserved for a person who is living in a particular country, or it is not really reserved for the following of any religion. It is a possibility of humanity. That means any person of being a human being, that means anybody who is a human being actually can have immortality, can attain immortality. So that is the point. That means we have hope. We are given the great hope that we can become immortal. But we have to understand immortality from what point of view it is being said, that I shall explain. Illumined teachers tell us that just by death we cannot be immortal. We need to have self-knowledge, direct experience of the Supreme Spirit. The touch of immortality or attainment of immortality will come only when we have self-knowledge. We call in Vedantic language self-knowledge as Atma-vidya or Atma-bodha, as it is called, Atma-gnana. But it is same as having some superconscious experience, which gives us the feeling Feeling means impresses us that yes, we are really immortal. And at the time of death, if we can remember that, then there is every possibility, as our scriptures have said and our teachers have said, that our soul will be immortal. Otherwise, what will happen? That means, according to our Eastern religion, soul will be born as another being. That means it may be born as a human being or other being also. There's a possibility, but usually, definitely as a human being, there will be rebirth. And until and unless we have that superconscious experience. And this superconscious experience is a sort of birthright. Birthright in a sense, that means anybody. It is in the capability of everybody, any human being. So that is the point. Then alone, that means when we shall get this self-knowledge, direct experience of the Supreme Spirit, then alone can we attain immortality, which is our birthright. Birthright in a sense, that means nobody actually can take away the possibility of immortality from me or anybody. That means everybody has got that right if one works to that end. Immortality of the soul has been glorified in Vedanta scriptures that we have seen. In different scriptures it has been said, and let me read out a few verses like this. Esho sarveshu bhuteshu guratma na prakashate drishyate tagraya buddhya sukshmaya sukshmadarshibhi. That means the self hidden in all beings reveals itself not to all. It is seen only by the subtle seers through the higher mind, that means buddhi, refined and made one-pointed. So there's a condition how actually it can be realized. That means the method, as it has been said, and definitely it requires practice or effort towards that end. Usually we are not really aware of those things. That means very few persons are seeking that type of immortality. They think that, well, human birth is the birth and let us enjoy it as much as possible, and then we shall die, and that will be the end of everything. Some people may think that, well, let us enjoy, and whatever may happen after death, let it happen. That is also another way of seeing things. But definitely those who are those who think deeply, they will try to figure out. That means they will find, or they will try to understand why this life is here and why we die, and why what will happen to us after death, and is there any possibility that we shall be eternal? That means we can live forever. And when we think whether we can live forever, that idea will come. That means, as we see that all around we are seeing death, that means in that way we can figure out that I shall also die. But even in the midst of death, whether there is a possibility of immortality, that is the point. And then actually we discover, as the sages have discovered, that yes, there is a possibility of immortality, and that needs to be worked out. So then again, there is another verse in Katha Upanishad, Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, Abbayam, Tatha Rasam, Nityam Agandha Vachayat, Anadyanantam, Mahatah Parang Dhruvam, Nichajyatam, Mittu Mukhat Pramuchyate. Having realized that which is without sound, without touch, formless, imperishable, and also without taste and smell, eternal, without beginning or end, and beyond all manifestation, one is liberated from the jaws of death. So this is from the dialogue of Yama, great teacher, who is teaching to his student who actually went to him. That means Nachiketa. So it is from the Katha Upanishad. So the story is like this, that there was a boy who went to a great teacher. His name was Yama. In a nutshell, I am telling the story. And the Yama was a knower of ultimate reality. That means he was a great teacher. And he knew, that means this boy knew that this person knows something. Something means everything about the what happens to a person after death. So the teacher actually saw that boy is very young and he was doubtful. about whether this young boy will be able to understand what I shall be teaching him. So his first part tried to dissuade him to get this knowledge. He said that, well, you are too young and you have your life to lead, and you want something which will be enjoyable. That means you'll be able to enjoy in your life. So in that way, you ask something and I shall provide those things to you. And the boy actually was very intelligent, and he said that I do not want all those things. You please keep all those things with you. You please give me this knowledge, how actually one can become immortal. And because of his persistence, see, the teacher ultimately, well, he was actually word bound. Word bound in a sense that he had told that I shall comply with your 3 requests. And one of the requests was this, giving this knowledge. So ultimately, he told these truths. And also he explained how to reach that, how to realize those truths. Then there is another, Yada sarve pramuchyate kama yasya hridhi srita atha mrittar mrita bhavatatra brahma samasnute. That means when all the desires that dwell in the heart are destroyed, then the mortal becomes immortal. And here itself attains the infinite being. This is very important to know, and we actually, being monks, always repeat this thing as when you listen to us. That means desire is the what is called the reason. If somebody has desire, then one will have a body. That means to enjoy. For the fulfillment of the desire, it is necessary to have a body. Suppose I want to eat something, so naturally to enjoy eating, I need to have a body, mouth, and palate, and all those things. So naturally, that is a requirement. So in that way, there are hundreds of desires that one can have. And if somebody has that desire and some desires are not fulfilled, and before that the body is that the body perishes, naturally the desire will be there in the along with the soul, and the soul will seek to fulfill that desire, and again that will propel the soul to take a body, and we shall be born again. It is a long process. It is not that immediate, but the concept is like this. That means if you have desire, for the fulfillment of this desire, you need some instrument, and that is the body. And with the body, you enjoy that. And if you are not really cautious about that, cautious in a sense, that means if you just think that, well, this desire is coming, I am enjoying, and again desire is coming, I am enjoying, this is continuity. So until and unless we are really tired of this type of continuity, then the desire for what is called the spiritual knowledge does not come. Incidentally, the desire for liberation, desire for immortality actually is a desirable desire. That means otherwise actually we cannot have that desire fulfilled. So instead of desire which is really physical and worldly, let us have the desire for the immortality. That desire is acceptable, and not only that, that will propel us to attainment of immortality. Then let me repeat a few other verses, because it is an occasion of thinking of immortality. When all the knots of the heart are rent asunder, the mortal becomes immortal. This is the end of all spiritual instruction. Spiritual instruction means in our Vedic knowledge or Hindu scriptures, the end is that once one can really vanquish these desires, and then actually the mind becomes free. Free in a sense, that means it will not really pursue worldly things, and then it will pursue spiritual things. And once the spiritual things are pursued, spiritual knowledge is pursued, or spiritual practices are done, naturally the soul slowly will attain to that highest goal, which is the goal of which will bring immortality. So let me repeat: when all the knots of the heart are rent asunder. Asunder means, that means knots in a sense. There is we read that there is a concept of knot, because consciousness is the body, and actually the body is not conscious, but consciousness is reflected as it is said, or it is joined, if you call it for the sake of easy understanding, through mind. And mind is in between the physical body and the consciousness. And in that way, actually, we think our body is conscious. But consciousness as such is not with the body. It is not the body is not really conscious. Only a sort of connection with the consciousness brings the consciousness to the body. And that joint is the mind, actually. Heart means not of the heart, means not of the mind. Mind is the what is called passage through which actually consciousness is coming to the body. So know that this is the end of all spiritual instruction. That means when the knots of the heart are asunder, that means knots in a sense, that means this sense of the body and mind will be overtaken. Then actually man becomes immortal, because consciousness will not flow into the body, consciousness will not be in the body, so consciousness will remain as it is. So remaining at it as it is means immortality, because consciousness as such is eternal, and it is what is called, it is full of bliss, and when it is in itself, and that is the liberation. That means it has dissociated with the from the body and mind. That is the goal of the spiritual practices. That is being said, this is the end of all spiritual instruction. Then he is saying, Jasmin Naddo Prithivi, Jasmin Do Prithivi, Chantariksha Mautang Mana, Saha Pranascha Sarvai, Tamevai Kang Janatha, Atma no Manna, Vacho, Vimunchatha, Mrita Saisa Setu. It is one Mundak Upanishad. Know that one self only, S in capital, that consciousness, if you call it self, Atman, by whom heaven, earth, sky, mind, and vital powers are permeated. It is from the point of view of concept, that means Atman as such, self, individual self, he is a part of the higher self, which is Brahman, and that is actually permeating. So we can say this Atman, this self is permeating everything, because the Brahman and Atman, that means ultimate reality, or the superpower and the individual power, but in whatever way you can conceive it, is the same. This is the way to immortality. Give up all vain talk. Vain talk in a sense, that means all the disciplines or all the talks which are mundane. So the scripture is saying, the teacher is saying that if you want to attain immortality, just give up what is called other pursuits. Not only talk, pursuits also. Talk is an example, but it is to be what is called broadband. That means other things also that we do with our senses and mind. So in this way, the teacher actually is saying that there is a possibility. Possibility means this is a proved proposition. That means through ages, actually, it has been pursued and it has been achieved, and that needs to be really, we have to know that, and then by knowing that, actually we need to strive for that. So this is, we see that it has been said in our scriptures that the possibility of these things. Now at this point, I have given the title of my talk as Children of Immortality. So who will be the fit person to attend to that? Ordinary persons, as we know in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna has given, in those days there's no statistics, but still he has given a statistic that out of 1,000 person, one person actually seek me. Seek me in a sense, that means when Lord Krishna was teaching Arjuna, he identified himself with the ultimate reality, because he was very close to Arjuna. That means he was very free and frank. And it is true that he was incarnation of God. So in that way, he always identified himself with the ultimate reality. So he said that to Arjuna, that out of 1,000, one will attempt to know me. That means, so you can imagine that we have such billions of people. So out of those, you can figure out, taking a what is called group of 1,001 will try to think of God. That means somewhere the thought will cross in the mind that, well, there is something like God, or they will hear about God, and in that way that will come. And out of such persons, that means who will think of me, one person will able to reach me. So in that way, this is the simple statistics that Lord Krishna has told Arjuna. And if we take that what Krishna says, that means an avatar has said is true. So there's a great possibility that there is a group, the large number of people who have the possibility of reaching God. That means if they try, that means they're fit. That means their mind is really ready. That means they can just do the practices. They will be able to success. They will be able to reach Him. That means they will be successful in their life to attain to immortality. So that is a great hope. This type of statistics, if we, as I'm saying, is not given by any other teacher. And this is a great hope that Lord Krishna has given to us. We think that, well, out of 100,000 person, what is the chance? But it is not. If you look to the broader situation, there is definitely the possibility of us, ordinary persons, to reach Him, because out of these billions of people, if you just divide it 100,000, so naturally that is a large number of human beings which are really potential for self-realization. So these are actually seekers. That means these people will be considered as a seeker. That means they're seriously seeking, and Lord Krishna is saying that they will reach me. So this is a type of person which are there, which are seekers. Now there are certain persons who, by making the effort, that means those who have come to know, so out of them, some of them will be serious. That means they will try to sift through the books, or go to a teacher, or go to an association where these type of thoughts are really thought by many. So in that way, they will try to figure out how to reach the goal. And then they will start doing practice. So during the practice, actually depends upon to what extent actually they will be able to free themselves from desire. And that depends upon the situation of the life also. Life, in a sense, that means if somebody is attached to the family, somebody is attached to God, somebody is attached to what is called job, and somebody is attached to maybe knowledge, somebody may be attached to what is a name and fame. So that type of condition is always there. So to what extent actually the desires are there, that has to be taken into account. So in that way, they will try to get rid of, when they will come to know that this is the way, that means once one can get rid of the desires, then actually they will be able to reach Him. That means reach the highest goal, reach liberation. So they will start spiritual practice. Spiritual practice, in a sense, that means it is very simple. In a sense, it is control of the mind. Because of this Patanjali Yoga Sutra, that means just one first verse actually solves all problem about the path. Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. That means just control the mind, and you'll be able to realize your true self. That is a simple instruction. So if we keep that in our mind, that yes, we have to control our mind, and by controlling the mind, we shall get rid of the desires that are in the mind. So that requires practice. Practice in a sense that if somebody is very, very strong in mind, and there are examples in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna he has given, that means if somebody wants to renounce, if he says that I am renouncing at this moment, and in that way renounces, and in that way, that is also a possibility, but it doesn't happen to everybody. So we have to work on that, how to reduce our attachment, how to reduce desire. Some of the desires can be fulfilled. That means within the reach of us. So in that way, they should be fulfilled. And then some of the desires, if we think that, well, it is so high, it is so high to reach that goal, we can, by reasoning, we can really give them up. That means, oh, that's not possible. If I think that, well, I want to be a millionaire, probably it will be difficult for me to achieve that goal. So I say that my body and mind and my temperament and situation and circumstances are not such that I shall be able to fulfill that desire. So by reasoning, actually, you can get rid of that desire. And certain desires, actually, as I told you, can be fulfilled. Simple desires. Probably I want to go there, or I want to eat there, or I want to meet some person, or I want to read a book. So I want to go for a pilgrimage. These things are within the capability. So those can be fulfilled. In that way, the point is that desires have to be attenuated. That means they have to be controlled. Then actually mind will be controlled. Chitta vritti will be controlled. So this is the simple method. And there are, for the fulfillment of this goal, different ways have been described in our scriptures, as we know. And in a sense, different yogos are there that has been that is with us from every religion. For every religion, there are different paths that has been said. Now let us see from the angle of different religion how this immortality has been described. So in Christianity, we see that that they say that if you take refuge in Jesus Christ, then only actually you will get this liberation. The concept is like this. You see, it is also a concept in our scriptures also, but it is only one method in Christianity that has been preached, and especially the not by Jesus Christ as such, but definitely the later theologians have really emphasized that. So, what does it mean actually? So it has been a theologians tried to make Christianity more mysterious than the common mystery religions by remaining silent about the early years of the life of Jesus Christ by stressing the physical resurrection of Jesus Christ, his immaculate conception, and sometimes the immaculate conception of the Madonna herself. Just to glorify Lord Jesus Christ, they have been put these stories, if you call it. Probably some of them are definitely there are basis of that. And one of the mysterious things is about his spiritual practices. That means what he did about 30 years of his life, we really do not know. But it is guessed that he did intense spiritual practice during that time. So naturally, by attainment of that knowledge, we see that he had the capability of rising after the death. And this rising after death, actually, we see has been interpreted in such a way that it means that as if he rose from dead body. That means he died. There's no doubt about that. Then he was buried also. There is no doubt about that. But after that, actually, he physically came into existence. And not only that, some disciples actually saw him physically. Then, of course, afterwards, he went away. Went away means that means he vanished, if we call it. And then with living a hope that those who will take refuge in him will come to him after death. So that is the concept of immortality as we see in Christianity. That means those who will take refuge in Jesus Christ. And that has become more or less little mechanical in a sense. That means you just say that, yes, I am a follower of Jesus. And there are certain ceremonies that you just undergo those things. That actually certifies you that you are a follower of Jesus Christ. But from the spiritual point of view, if you are not really thinking of Jesus Christ, following the teachings of Jesus Christ, and not meditating on him, it cannot happen. That means it will not happen just by professing that I am a follower of Jesus Christ. So it is true that a person like Jesus Christ is an entity. By following him or meditating on him, actually it is possible to attain to immortality. But in a popular sense, just by professing that I am a follower of Jesus Christ, it will not happen. We have to work hard for that also. So Easter has come to be connected with the resurrection of Christ and also with the renewal of life in all nature. As I told you, that means nature, because sun crosses the equator now, and in that way, there is what is called the northern hemisphere is the spring will come, summer will come, so everything will be blooming and harvest will come. So in that way, it is a rejuvenation. In the winter, actually, everything went down in a sense. That means there was no crop and all those things. That means harvest and all those things was over. But again, it is coming. It is a cyclic thing. We all know that. So this resurrection means that the coming Jesus Christ's life came into life, coincided with this what is called incident. That is why we see this connection, Easter and Jesus Christ's resurrection are well connected. Then it is another part is very important. Christ appeared before his disciples on the third day after crucifixion. That means historically it has been researched and found that he was on Tuesday actually. He was he was taken to the Pilate. That means the Roman governor. Then actually he was condemned to death, and that was on Wednesday. Then he was buried, and then Thursday went away, and then Friday actually Friday also went away, and Easter was on Saturday, and that was a day of Sabbath. And then actually we see on Sunday actually his body appeared in front of the devotees. So the disciples thought at first that the sacred body remained detached from his soul, but later on the third day, body and soul were believed to become united. Many followers of Christ believe that through a divine miracle, the physical body of Jesus Christ was transformed into something spiritual, and some hold that in a miraculous way, even ordinary souls will have their physical bodies spiritualized and restored before the day of judgment. So this is the popular concept in Christianity, that as it happened to Jesus Christ, that means first he lost his soul was separated from the body. Again, it got got connected on this Easter, on the day of Easter. So in the same way, those who will be following Jesus Christ after death, though they lose the body, but at the day of judgment, that means there will be a particular day, in the long run it will come when their body will come into physical being, and they will be living eternally with Jesus Christ. So this is the concept in Christianity, and popular Christianity. But those who are really mystical, or those who are really sincere spiritual seekers, they understand this is a sort of popular story by which actually the message of eternity is given to ordinary people, that there is something eternal life that needs to be impressed on them. That is why this story is really very useful. Now in India, as you know, there are various ideas about resurrection of the physical body. In India also there are stories that physically some people actually had their body and actually became immortal. One of them is, we know in Mahabharata, there is a great story of Yudhisthira. So King Yudhisthira, the embodiment of right living, that means he was truthful, and he was what is called full of justice, and all the good nature or good qualities that we can really think of. Yudhisthira, in Yudhishthira's life, we see that they are really evident. So King Yudhisthira is said to have gone to heaven in his physical body. So the reason, as the story goes in the Mahabharata, that means he went to the Himalayas, Mahaprasthana Pathe, as it is called, for the last journey, as it is called. So he went into the Himalayas and just walked in the expectation they reached the heaven. So one after another, his brothers and wife actually succumbed. That means they died on the trail. But ultimately, he could reach the heaven. That means he came to the end of the trail, and then we see Yama. That means the keeper of the heaven came and took him in his chariot, and he saw heaven. That is that story is there. So physically, only we see that there is a story that Yudhisthira physically, that means with this physical body, with the flesh and blood, that chemical composition taken from the earth, with which our body is really made. So with that physical body, actually, he went to the heaven. That is the only example or story that we have in our history. But other stories are also there. They are like this. That means we have several instances in religious history of illumined souls who could transform the physical element and disappear when their careers on earth were over. Sometimes what remained behind was only a symbol. So it is like this, that means there were persons, just like Sri Chaitanya, then Mirabai, and we see that we do not know how actually their life ended. So it is said Sri Chaitanya actually got mixed up. Mixed up means that means he vanished inside the image of Lord Jagannath in Puri. So after he went to embrace that image, and after that nobody could see his body. In case of Mirabai also, the great woman saint of Western India, it is said that he went to Dwarkadham, and there is the image of Lord Krishna there. She also went in that way into the temple and went to embrace Lord Krishna's image, and ultimately her body was not found. So these are the stories that are also there in Hinduism. That means that they vanished, as we call, the body actually vanished after they become one with the ultimate reality. And also there is a story of Kabir, Sant Kabir. That means his story is really very interesting in the sense that means his physical body was transformed into flowers. And those are historical incidents. And in that way, we see that when he died, so he had disciples, followers in both religions, Hindu as well as Islam. And Islam, as you know, after death, the body is buried. And Hindus actually cremate. So they started quarreling what to do with the body. And they covered the body with a cloth. And when they were quarreling in this way, so the cloth was removed and it was found instead of the body, there were a heap of flowers. So they divided the flowers, and Hindus actually cremated the flowers, and Muslims actually buried them. So these are the extraordinary examples of stories that have come down to us in Hinduism. Thus, yes, it is possible to have the body, what is called, changed, and in that way it remains. Now, the point is this, how to attain to immortality. For ordinary persons, these are really out of reach. So we have to know what actually can make us immortal, and one aspect of ourselves will become immortal. So we can figure out that body will perish because it is a chemical composition. There is no doubt about it. It is all what is called play of biochemistry, as it is called by scientists. So it is a biochemical material, and everything has been taken from the earth itself. So all the materials with which the body is made is coming from the earth. So it will go back to earth. So what actually will become immortal then? That means that needs to be understood. So it is the soul that can become immortal. So immortality is like this. That means the soul will not be born again. That means it will not get into the materials of the body, and then only it is possible to become immortal. So another aspect of this immortality is this, that all human beings, probably all beings, dislike annihilation. That means they do not like to die, if you call the annihilation. So man's dislike for death or annihilation, his longing for immortality, is a more or less universal phenomenon. So probably it is true for other beings also, but in human beings also we see that there are, we don't like to die. That is the point. But we do not know actually. Of course, logically we know that a body will not become immortal, but still there is a possibility of immortality. So how that thought has come into us? So there is an element of immortality within ourselves that proves. That means it says that inside the body, within ourselves, inside our mind, there is a touch of immortality. That is why we always think of immortality. Otherwise, a concept which is not within ourselves, we shall not be able to conceive. So immortality, concept of immortality is there. So that is why we want to become immortal, but we do not know in ordinary sense how to reach that, how to become immortal, because we are always saying that we are dying. So this desire for an unobstructed life may arise even in the hearts of scientists who are skeptical about immortality in their young days. There are atheists, scientists, though it is not really very true. There are many scientists who are really atheists. That means they believe in God, but definitely it is a fashionable, more or less fashion, especially in the Western world. Scientists do not believe in the existence of God. That means they think that yes, body is born once and it will die, and that is the end of the human life or all beings. There is nothing else that will remain. But as they mature, some of the scientists actually, we see that they have changed their mind also. Like Thomas Huxley, he was a great scientist and great atheist also. And he was a propagator of Darwin's theory of evolution. In that way, you see, but towards the end of his life, actually, he thought that probably, and humorously had said that because I'm an atheist, probably, and also he was, he was born in the Christian culture. So because he did not believe in God, he did not take refuge in Jesus Christ. So probably he will be condemned into hell. And that is a belief in Christianity, that if you do not take refuge in Jesus Christ, you will have to live permanently in hell. And there are very, what is called, dangerous type of description about how the hell is. So towards the end of his life, as I'm telling the story of Thomas Huxley, so he said that, well, you know, I am a humanist. That means I always think of good of human human life, and I do whatever I can for the good of humanity. So naturally, because I do not believe in Jesus Christ, I do not believe in God. Probably, God will condemn me to hell, to go to hell, because I do not believe in Him. But probably because I have done some good things, for that in the hell, probably there is a category. There is different sections of the hell. So in the better section, that means where the what is called air will be a little better, or the accommodation will be better. In that way, I shall get a place there because I have done something good, but still it is hell. That means I shall be living permanently there. So in a humorous way, actually, he said that how actually being an atheist, he will his soul will get a permanent place there. Then these are the from the point of view of atheists, this is the we can see this is the dilemma that they have to face. Now, how can we escape these days of the body and spirit? It is a strange fact that many who do not believe in personal survival after death still long for immortality, through their descendants perhaps, or the influence of the work they have done, or of the service they have rendered. So you see, it is said that Kirti Josya Sajivati. So many people try to earn name and fame. That means one becomes a scientist, the what is called, their works are published in what is called in books and journals, and in that way their names become permanent. Suppose Newton. So Newton's name is almost permanent. That means we remember him. But still you see that Newton is also what is called superseded by Einstein. Then Einstein is there, and probably now also there is an effort that means to go beyond Einstein also. That means he has conjectured many things which has not come true. So we're trying to get those things. So in that way, there's a desire in some people, those who do not believe in God, to be immortal just by doing this type of work. This is a very refined type of work. Some people may do other good things also. So the desire for immortality, and so we see it is a strange fact that many who do not believe in personal survival after death still long for immortality through their descendants, perhaps. Descendants in a sense, that means they want to continue their what is called these children and their grandchildren, and in that way they want to think of the perpetuation of their what is called their family and their tribe, if you call it, or for the influence of the work they have done, or of the service they have rendered. But this kind of immortality is temporary, may end at any time with a change of thought or fashion, or ending of a family name. When the link is broken, they cease abruptly to be immortal. This has happened. I see that there are a very good example. You know, if you go to Calcutta, you see that after the independence, what happened, that is many streets have been renamed. Renamed in a sense, that means in the British time, there are streets, probably Cornwallis Street. So Cornwallis Street was named after the after well-known Governor General Cornwallis. So in that way, that means he worked hard, became Governor General, and ruled India, and then he died. So naturally, he did all those works, and ultimately his name was as if immortalized by naming a street, Cornwallis Street. But what happened after the independence? So then the new regime, if you call it, that means that when Indians become independent, so naturally they wanted things of their own. So they removed the name of the street, Cornwallis Street, and put a name, Ravindra Saroni or something like that, Ram Mohan Saroni. In that way, different streets were renamed after different Indian, what is called, well-known persons. So that ends the what is called immortality of a person, say Lord Cornwallis, immortality. That means as the things change, so this type of immortality also ends. So the point is this: immortality in any other way actually cannot be achieved except self-realization. That is the point. So according to those who believe in personal immortality, the soul is a created being born only once with the body. They believe that the individual personal consciousness continues to exist and that true immortality or salvation is attained through a miracle, like the what is called by the grace of God, that the Christians believe. Others believe that the soul is uncreated and passes through many births, deaths until it attains personal immortality through self-knowledge. This is actually the universal concept. That means anybody can adhere to this concept and work for one's immortality. That is the point. Let me repeat. Others believe that the soul is uncreated. So if we can impress ourselves that the soul, the consciousness that is residing within ourselves are uncreated, that is, it is eternal. And naturally that requires little thought, studies, and also a practice, concentration of the mind. And in that way, if we can convince ourselves and search for that, actually that will bring us the what is called real immortality. Others believe that the soul is uncreated and passes through many births and deaths until it attains personal immortality through self-knowledge. So this is the way actually one can achieve immortality. Our scriptures, and of course those who are in other religion, also those who are real seekers of knowledge, they have also told that. Man's, yes, seven. So yes, those who do not accept a personal God believe that the soul is a spiritual entity which attains self-knowledge through personal effort. And personal God is a way of concentration of the mind. You know, we are always thinking that as beings, individuals. So if there is a being, higher being, and it is a personal God, that means he's endowed with all the good qualities. And in that way, if we think of him, naturally all the good thoughts and all those things will inherit us. And in that way, our minds also become pure. And in that way, we shall be able to realize our true self. That is a possibility. Most of us do like that with a personal God. That means we select some spiritual entity, and in that way, we try to focus our mind, and in that way, purify our mind, and ultimately, we become pure, and mind becomes concentrated, and we realize our true self. According to them, that means according to those who believe in personal God, all power is vested in man himself without relation to any God or Savior. So in that way, actually, it is also possible. That means who do not accept, I'm sorry, it is those who do not believe in personal God, they also can attain to that by what is called, according, all power is vested in man. That means we have ourselves that power to focus our mind or concentrate our mind and reach that goal. That means we do not need the help of outside. That is the point. The belief that all souls are eternal parts of one supreme spirit, the supreme consciousness, which appears as God, soul, and universe, beyond all name and form. He holds that it is only owing to ignorance that human souls pass through births and deaths, and that with the dawn of self-knowledge, they become merged in the supreme self. So this is the universal way. That means it is irrespective of any religion or any country or any other, any gender. So this thought or this concept, if it is embedded in our mind, actually we can, anybody and everybody can have the self-knowledge. It doesn't require to have any faith in what is called in a religion or a faith in a particular person or teacher. So in that way, it is possible. And our scriptures have said that this is the way one can attain to self-knowledge and transcend the cycle of birth and death. So let me repeat, it is a long sentence. The non-dualists, that means those who do not believe in personal God, they believe that all souls are eternal parts of one supreme spirit. So logically, by studying scriptures, actually, we can really get ourselves convinced that yes, actually, there is a supreme spirit, bigger consciousness, and we are part of that. Even scientists, many scientists actually believe that there is one unity. Consciousness is one. There are many scientists believe in that, and that we have a little bit of a touch of that consciousness within ourselves, and in that way we are functioning. So one supreme spirit, the supreme consciousness, which appears as God, soul, and universe, beyond all name and form. So it's everything that are appearing to us, they are really part of that supreme spirit. He holds that it is only owing to ignorance that human souls pass through births and deaths. That means we are really that consciousness, and we are taking the body and coming into existence and repeatedly coming into existence, if you believe in that. So all those things are happening because of our ignorance. Ignorance means that means we do not have that true knowledge. True knowledge means that means we do not know that we are really consciousness itself. That with the dawn of self-knowledge, they become merged in the supreme self. That means once the consciousness remains within consciousness without what is called associating with the body and mind, actually it becomes one with that, and that is self-knowledge. So Buddhists, of course, speak of the attainment of a state beyond existence and non-existence, the overcoming of all selfishness, which they call nirvana. Buddhists, actually, Lord Buddha, the practices that he has given is more or less like our yoga. That means Patanjali Yoga Sutra, what he has prescribed. That means concentration of mind, and you know your true nature, and that's all. That is actually the ultimate goal. So the methods actually are different yogas, but the mechanism is the concentration of the mind. There's no doubt about that. And Buddha actually attend to that, and in that way, he reached nirvana. There's an explanation about what Buddhist nirvana is. Nirvana is not annihilation. Annihilation is there is nothing, not to nothingness. It is not attainment of nothingness. For Buddha lived 45 or 50 years after his attainment of this state of selflessness. So when Buddha attained to nirvana, actually he did not what is called merge into nothingness. That means he vanished. It is not like that. He lived for 40, 45 years. Everyone knows that his life was dedicated to the good of mankind. Nirvana is a state of superconsciousness, a form of highly spiritual life. And it is a state of, in our technical term, we call it, it's called Jivan Mukta. That means we attend to that, Jivan Mukta. And later on, actually, we see Shankaracharya said that the state of mind that Buddha has attained is equivalent to an avatara. That means he had that capacity. Capacity means that means ordinary Jivan Muktas have limited capacity. But in Buddha's life, by studying Buddha's life, we see that he had many other qualities which ordinary Jivan Muktas do not have. So Shankaracharya actually elevated him to the position of an incarnation of God like Rama and Krishna by studying his life and his work. So since then, actually, we Hindus believe that Lord Buddha is an incarnation of God. So this is the way and means that we see that has been left to us by our great teachers. The point is that to attain to immortality, and first thing is that there is a possibility for everybody to attain to immortality. So we should not be what is called doubt about that. We have to first get ourselves convinced. And there are ways to attain to immortality also. And that also our scriptures have said, our teachers have said, but it requires to do some work for that. And then actually, when we shall attend to that, we shall ourselves will know that really we have become eternal. Eternal means that we have lost the desire for to be born again and again. And that is what is called moksha. And when time will come, when the body will perish, we shall reach that goal. That means we shall become one with the ultimate reality. So this is the message that has been left for immortality by our teachers, and it is an occasion taking the advantage, if you call it, on the life of Jesus Christ. We remember this situation, and in that way, especially on the circumstances through which we are passing, we see that there are many persons who are dying, and there is nobody to do last rites also. So we feel very sorry about that, but definitely that means those souls who have passed through these situations and will be passing through this situation. Some of us are really passing through this situation, and some of us do not know whether we shall pass through that situation, but we can keep that hope alive that there is a possibility. That means this death is not the end of life. The point is that we have the possibilities of becoming immortal, maybe in this life and maybe in future life. That actually we need to, in that way, actually can keep our mind in peace. So that ends our today's talk, and there is no what is called free will offering. So I end my talk with benediction. Of course, there is a few announcements that will be good because all the announcements have been put on our website. Wednesday classes are continuing through Zoom, the way you are listening today. Uddhava Gita, we shall continue at 7:30 on April 15th. There's a discussion group, and we have that is conducted by Yudhisthira, and they are studying Aparaksha Anubhuti. That will be on Friday, April 17th at 6 p.m. Then there is a discourse. Presently, we are studying Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna on Saturdays and 7:30. So on April 18th, that is also will be there. That will also be Zoom. And next Sunday, there is a lecture, keeping our cool in crisis. And this is a talk via Zoom and YouTube, and that talk will be given by Yudhisthira on April 19th at 11 a.m. And I wish you all happy Easter. Om madhuvatarithayate madhuksharanti sindhavaha madhirna santoshadhihi madhunakto mutoshasi madhumat parthivagangrajaha madhudaurastana pita madhumanna vanaspatihi madhumagangastu suryaha madhirgavo bhavantunah. Om madhu madhu madhu. Sweet blood the winds and the oceans give forth blessedness. May the earths and plants bring us health and happiness. Sweet unto us with the nights and dawns. May every particle of Mother Earth be charged with blessings. May the heavens shower us with benediction. Sweet unto us with the noble forest trees. Sweet unto us with the shining sun. Sweet unto us with the all-living creation. Om, sweetness, harmony, peace. Thank you very much. And if you have any comment and